Welcome to Manifesting the Miraculous. I'm Aurelia from Aureliaslight, and I'm happy to have you here on my channel. This episode, we are going to be continuing with Wisdom of the Shamans and finding your own truth. So many of us are waking up on the earth plane, thinking about why we are here, what are we supposed to do, how are we to serve, and how to connect to our highest divine nature and joy, freedom, and how we can live the most abundant and exciting life. Well, in this episode, we're going to be focusing on finding the truth of your own being, and some techniques you can use to really hone in your intuition. If you would like, go grab a pen or a pencil and a pad so you can take some notes, and sit back and enjoy the episode. The Eagle and the Snake, finding your own truth. Many of you will recognize this story from the Aztec tradition of how Mexico City was founded centuries ago. The national flag of Mexico has a beautiful image of an eagle eating a snake while it rests on a cactus, which, as you will see, is a major symbol in this story. A long time ago, in the middle of a desert, in what is now Mexico City, lived a powerful shaman who served as a great leader and a helper to his tribe. When he realized that his physical form was dying, he decided to leave one final and important lesson for the next generation. My time in this body is coming to an end, he said. He told his tribe as they gathered around the campfire one evening. In the morning, you will have to say goodbye to this village. Take only what you need when you leave here. Everything that you don't need, everything that does not serve you in your life anymore, leave it here. Tomorrow is a day of great transformation. Then, to mark this moment, the old shaman threw some magic dust into the fire, and it turned the flame into a bright blue, cleansing blaze that sparkled like the stars in the night sky. He continued, "Tomorrow you will begin your journey to create a new dream, and you will roam the wilderness until you see an eagle devouring a snake above a cactus garden, and that will be the sign you have found home." And with that, the old man dismissed the circle. And when the morning came, they went to the shaman and found that he was no longer in his body. They packed only the most basic necessities and started the journey to find their new home. The journey was not easy. For years they walked and walked until finally one day they saw a lake. In the middle of the lake, there was a small island, and that island was full of cactus trees. Looking up into the sky, they saw an eagle dive down towards the island, where it grabbed a snake from the ground. With the snake clutched in its claws, the eagle landed on a cactus, and the villagers watched in awe as the eagle began to devour the snake, and they were overjoyed because this was the symbol they were searching for. They immediately began to build their new home. This was the beginning of the great city of the Aztecs, where Mexico City stands today. That night, the tribe built a great bonfire and gathered in a circle, just as they did on the last night of the old dream. The tribe said thank you to the grandfather shaman because they found their new home. But as they were giving thanks to him for his guidance, suddenly a bright blue light sparkled in the bonfire, and they all recognized it as the grandfather's spirit. "Hello, my children," his voice said from the flames. "I see that you have made the lesser journey, and now you must make the greater journey." The tribe was confused, for they had spent a long time on the very difficult journey to find the location for their new home. What could be greater than this? The voice continued. "The eagle is a symbol for truth. The snake is a symbol for lies. And the cactus garden represents the garden of the human mind. When the eagle of truth devours the snake of lies in the garden of your mind, then you will find a home within yourself. You will find your own personal freedom." One thing that television, social media, and other broadcast mediums teach us is that the world has many rich and famous and accomplished people. Sadly, we also learn from these same sources that many of these accomplished people are very unhappy. Of course, this doesn't just apply to the rich and famous. We all know people in our own spheres who have accomplished much outwardly, but are greatly unhappy in their personal lives. Perhaps we have neighbors or family members who fall into this category, and perhaps we were once one of those people. They may have acquired many possessions or titles, but they are lost and confused. We can say that through their outer accomplishments, they have made the lesser journey, but the greater journey of finding their own personal freedom still awaits them. This begs the question, what do I mean by the phrase personal freedom? For me, personal freedom is when our hearts and our minds are ruled by love instead of fear. Personal freedom is when we are comfortable in our own skin and we love and accept ourselves completely, even the parts we don't like. Personal freedom is when we stop trying to be like this or like that, but instead are content to just be. Personal freedom comes as the result of examining our minds, domestications, and releasing any unhealthy beliefs or ideas that we find there. It occurs every moment that we break the habit of our addiction to suffering. From this place of self-understanding, self-acceptance, and self-love, we can see ourselves when we look into the eyes of another. And that is one reason why we help other people. We know that they are us and we are them, and that we are all interconnected, and thus to help them is also to help ourselves. For me, all of this is personal freedom, and it is at the heart of the shamanic path. Whatever else you do in the world, your job, your hobbies, anything you accomplish, those are all wonderful things, but they represent the lesser journey. The most important journey you will ever make is the one inside yourself, and this is the heart of the shamanic path. It is the journey of finding your own truth. The shaman in the story understood that each generation had to find its own truth to create its own dream, and that they could not rely on the legacy of previous generations to create their dream for them. To this end, he sent them away into the desert to find a new home and to let go of the old dream so that they could create a new one. Sometimes life serves as our shaman and sets up situations that completely destroy our old dream. Death, divorce, the loss of a job, or all things that require us to go out into the wilderness, taking with us very few of our possessions, and find a new dream. But our home, our truth, is always inside of us, and we take that wherever we go, in every dream we create. If we stay true to ourselves and true to our own heart's desire, then we will find peace again. In my view, everyone has their own truth within themselves because we are all unique. This personal truth will never be exactly the same for any two people. That's what makes it personal. Shamanism is not based on hierarchy, deference to past teachers, or following a sacred text with blind belief, but rather on finding the wisdom within yourself. And when you find your own truth and wisdom within you, you will find your own personal freedom. Let's delve into some teachings. The first teaching is silent knowledge. I have talked about this with some past episodes from Stuart Wilde, and he refers a lot to silent knowledge and silent power, and this is very similar. In the Toltec tradition, we have a concept called silent knowledge. The cultivating your connection to it can help you find the truth within yourself. Silent knowledge is a knowing that is beyond the thinking mind. It's difficult to write or talk about it because language is the main tool of the mind, but I will do my best to explain. Silent knowledge is the deep innate wisdom that is in all things. It comes from the interconnectedness of all beings and creatures. It is the wisdom of the universe. For instance, if you ever simply know the answer to a question without any logical way that your brain could have discovered it, like when a mother can feel that her child is in danger, or when you know the moment a relative transitions into death, this is all silent knowledge. It is the universal wisdom that has always been at our fingertips, but that we often neglect to tap into, either because we don't know how or we have forgotten how. Being able to see the next right action in any given situation, disregarding the mitote, the noisy voices that clamor for your attention in your mind, this is silent knowledge. And as you begin to unravel your domestications and live in a way that feels authentic to you, you will find yourself in touch with it. When you develop an awareness of silent knowledge, you begin to shift your attention to it more often, especially when faced with an important choice or decision. The insights that you get from silent knowledge can help come to you in the form of an inspired thought, or even in an energetic feeling in your body. In either case, when a message comes to you from the silent knowledge, you sense a knowing that the insight you are receiving is not from your thinking mind. Furthermore, silent knowledge never carries the energy of hate, resentment, or revenge. If any message you get originates from this type of energy, then you know that this is not silent knowledge, but coming out of the mind's addiction to suffering instead. Another means for accessing silent knowledge is to pay attention to your emotions. When it comes to making decisions, our emotions can sometimes be better indicators than our discerning minds. For instance, let's say you were trying to make a decision about a situation, and one choice may seem correct logically, but you have a nagging feeling that something isn't right. Let's say you've been offered a new job with better pay, But when you visit with your potential employer, you get a negative vibe instead that you can't explain. Rather than dismiss those sensations, it would be wise to recognize them as clues from the realm of silent knowledge. This doesn't necessarily mean that the answer is a no and you shouldn't take the job, but rather you should do more investigating before making a final decision. I have traveled to India on several occasions, and I love the teachings of both Hinduism and Buddhism. In India, we find one of the greatest teachers of silence in the 20th century, Sadhu Ramana Maharshi. The word sadhu is from Sanskrit and means a monk or a holy person. But to me, the sadhu is the Indian equivalent of the shaman. Ramana Maharshi was probably the most famous teacher in India in the first half of the 20th century. After experiencing a spontaneous awakening as a teenager, he went into a period of silence that lasted for years. Although he would go on to teach and speak again, he always maintained that the best teacher was silence. People would come to him from all over to sit with him in his ashram, and many with lists of questions. But once they sat in his silent presence, the questions would dissolve or become unimportant. His story reminds me of the words of the 13th century Muslim poet Jalaluddin Mevlana Rumi. Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation. Seen in this light, silent knowledge is one of the most powerful tools at a shaman's disposal. This is the heart of the wisdom of the shaman. And when you are in alignment with yourself, you have much better access to this realm of knowing beyond the thinking mind. Silent knowledge is available to you right now, and one helpful step to finding it is to practice outer silence and meditation, as both create an environment that allows universal wisdom to emerge within us. I have included an exercise to help you begin this practice at the end. The next teaching in tonight's episode is divination. This is another tool that is often talked about in shamanism circles. This is called divination, or the ability to access what we think of as the future. Because divination also comes from a realm beyond the thinking mind, let's take a moment to discuss it. From a shamanic perspective, there is no past or future. There is only now. Everything that ever happens occurs in this universe of now. But the dream of time, or the idea of time, which is a construct that we as humans have created, is what allows our minds to make sense of it all, to add order to it. Without the dream of time, your mind could not comprehend all of the things that are occurring now. Divination is a tool that can allow us to glimpse sights of other things that are also happening now, but the mind understands as in the future. Accessing these other events that appear to be in the future is the principle of divination. There are many tools for this: cards, pendulums, runes, all of which can be helpful in certain situations. If you are faced with an important decision in life and you are unable to decide what path to take, using a divination tool could bring you some clarity. At the same time, you must be very careful not to overuse these tools. The more we rely on the divination tools, the less accurate these tools become, in part because the mind begins to take ownership of them, seeing patterns or suggestions that aren't actually there. I recommend that divination tools should be only brought in when you feel completely lost, even when you search for the truth within yourself. Remember, one of the core principles of shamanism is that the wisdom you seek is inside you already. So, a divination tool only helps you find answers that you already have, but perhaps are having difficult seeing them. When you reconnect with your inner knowing and you're following the path of the shaman, not the shamans that have come before you, but the shaman that you are, the messenger of love that you are in your deepest being. In order to find the truth and wisdom within ourselves, we must see all outside sources, whether divination, tools, old traditions, or even other shamans, as what they are. They are guides to help us find the truth from within ourselves. We are the artists of our lives, and we can use these tools to start to create our art. But then it is up to us to put our own style and flair on the masterpiece that is our life by living from what it is true for us as an individual, rather than relying on what we have been told by our outside sources. The purpose of all of these tools is just to help you on the greater journey, the one that leads you to the wisdom inside your own beautiful heart. Now, to end this episode, I want to invite you to do an exercise with me. This is an amazing, powerful exercise that I use in my own groups and workshops, and even with myself. Every time a new season comes, especially autumn and winter, I use this practice or exercise. So first, grab a piece of paper and something to write with, and perhaps you have a candle handy. You can light a candle with light the candle for your own heart and your own dream of the future. Now here's the question. What is your definition of personal freedom? Everyone is different. Write down your own definition of personal freedom. What are the things that will make you free? What are the things that you light up and you feel free doing? Perhaps some of the things included in my definition will also be yours, but yours will still be different by the virtue of the fact that it is yours and not mine. What do you want to release or let go of? What wisdom within you do you want to get in touch with? Keep this definition so you can look back on it whenever you feel lost, or when you think your definition might have changed. If you'd like to pause this episode right now so that you can write down your definition of personal freedom, I invite you to do so now. Now, here's the next question. What old dreams are you holding on to? It's often our old dreams that keep us from living in the present and enjoying a new dream that may better serve us. Do you still hold things over your own head? Do you hear yourself saying, like, if I hadn't gotten divorced, or if I hadn't dropped out of school, or if I hadn't taken that job? You are letting go of an old dream of what you could have been that no longer speaks to who you are now. Take some time to think about your old dreams and what parts of them you may still be holding on to. You may have more than one old dream to work with. If so, write them on separate papers. But I suggest working with just one dream at a time to make sure that you're feeling the effects of them all before you move on, because one dream can have so many tethers to everything else. Again, pause the episode to take the full receiving of this exercise. Now fold or crumple the paper with your old dream on it, and then you're going to find a safe place to burn it. As you burn the paper, say a gentle and sweet goodbye to your old dream, thanking it for all the ways that it has served you, and allow yourself to release the dream with the smoke from the fire. Take a moment to honor yourself. Take a moment to honor those people who played an important role in your last dream. They too are teachers. They too are shamans. We are all playing roles and characters for each other. Some of us challenge us to the core. Some of us love and support and raise us to our highest, best self. But no matter where they are on the spectrum, everyone's a teacher, everyone's a shaman, and everyone's an artist. So with this, I thank you so much for being here on this episode of finding the truth, finding who you are, the truth of your own being. I'm Aurelia from Aureliaslight, and again, I thank you. So please hit the subscribe button so you can get future episodes. And if you resonate with my work, I invite you to check out my new album. It's called Ascension, and it is available on my website at Aureliaslight.com. The link will be below. And you can receive an autographed copy from me, but it's also available on all streaming and downloading platforms. And visit my academy. I do work with people to transform and really rebuild their lives into lives that are really in alignment with their soul's purpose. It is one of my greatest joys, besides creating music, is to help people, is to really support and guide them to become the highest, best versions of themselves. So check out my offerings at Aureliaslight.com. And I send you all my love, and I wish you a beautiful week filled with divine light and divine love.